Recently, I was reached out to by Artisul and offered a free tablet of theirs, their D16PRO, if I reviewed it and posted the video on YouTube. Of course I said yes, because I mean, come on, who doesn't want a free tablet? The tablet I also was offered was a screen tablet, which I've never used before, so I was really excited to take the opportunity, and I really think it's going to help upgrade my work. In this video, I'll be showing myself unboxing the tablet. I'll show how I set it up both physically and digitally in terms of all the settings. And then I'll be showing a speed paint of some art I made with the tablet while giving my thoughts on the tablet itself. So I've just received this tablet from Artisul, the D16PRO, and I'm going to open it up and see what's inside. Because I've done a little bit of research on it, but I haven't actually opened and seen one in person before. So I know sort of what's in there, but not a lot. So it says I've opened it backwards, so I'll show you the front. It's very big, definitely bigger than any other tablet I've had before, and I've never had a screen tablet before, so. But let's open it up and actually see. There we go. Oh wow. Ooh, that's big. So that looks like it's the tablet itself. The anti-glare film has already been installed. Nice, okay. So this is the tablet itself. As you can see, compared to my hand, it's very big. I don't know if you can get the perspective of that because I'm not in frame, but they're my hands. So that's the tablet itself, and okay, that dial, because my Wacom Pro has a dial, is not as easy to use as that. So I haven't even plugged it in yet, and that already feels really nice. Hotkeys. So that's the tablet itself. Let's see what other goodies. Oh, I didn't notice the inside of this box is actually soft, like velvety, so the tablet wouldn't get damaged if it drops. So that's just a little thing, but that's actually really smart. So let's see what this is. Oh, there's a guide, so I'll be looking at that later, and there's some stuff in there as well. I'll save that. Open this. I'm not actually quite sure what this is. This is already like the size of the first tablet I ever had, and it's not even the tablet, so. Oh, okay, I read about this. So this is obviously the stand. So you lift, looks like you lift that, because it says open. Then this says open here. Okay, I'll come back to this one. I'll see if I can figure it out, because I should read the instructions before trying to mess with any of that. We've got a pen here, which looks very, very similar to my Wacom pen actually, which is nice because it'll be the same. Whoops, I did not just throw that. It will be the same, like it'll be a pen I'm used to holding. It's got buttons on it like my Wacom pen does. It's a nice, it feels like a real pen. It's got like some nice grip on it. Hasn't got an eraser on the back, which is the only thing that I'm seeing that is less desirable than my Wacom at the moment. This looks like the cables you use. Lots of cables. I'll have to read the instructions to figure out which cables I use and where. Nicely all protected up so it's not tangled with the other one. I've got some pen nibs in here, and they're very different actually to what the pen nibs for the Wacom tablet looks like, so I'll be interested to see, because my Wacom pen nibs, they need replacing so often. I am not sure what this bit is. It looks nice though, so it's a pouch. I'm actually not sure what that is. It looks like it's for carrying, because I believe this tablet's portable, because you can plug it into Android devices, which is really cool, but it looks like maybe it's for that. I will dub over in editing what this is actually for. So we've got that. And then something here as well. If I can get it out, there we go. Okay, an adapter into the wall. And I believe, unless there is something underneath here, that is everything that it should have come with, apart from the little packet that I haven't opened yet. Okay, so this is a quick start guide, but it's also got some little bits in it. And I believe one of the things in here is a glove, which I, again, have never used before, so I'll put that on now. So this is a drawing glove, and I've never used this before, so I'm assuming it goes on my drawing hand. So yeah, really nice looking glove actually. I've got unisanis looking hand now. But yeah, it just glides over the tablet as opposed to being so it's almost as if your hand isn't there. And then we've got the instructions here. So we've got, okay, I've got 2 months of warranty, which is a nice thing to include. We've got the link to where to download the driver. And then we have the quick start guide here. So I'm going to have a look at this. Okay, so this says what everything is. This is what I was looking for. So there's a there's the LCD sketch pad. So this was a pen bag. This thing that was in the bag of pen nibs, wherever I put that. Oh, I've missed something. a cleaning cloth. So there was a cleaning cloth in the bag with the glove, but I got distracted by the glove. So yeah, that's to clean the screen, which is really useful. Here's the bag with the pen nibs. So this little ring looking thing in here says it is a pen nib clip, which I'm not entirely sure what that means. Came with a really nice amount of nibs actually. Sometimes you get a tablet and it gives you like 3 extra nibs. I can take this glove off. So yeah, we've got the glove, we've got the quick start guide, we've got the cleaning cloth, we have the pen nibs and the pen nib clip, we have the pen bag, we have the stylus itself, we have the AC adapter, then we have the stand here, the pen display stand. So yeah, instructions how to replace the pen nib. Aha! Please replace the nib with the attached pen clip. Okay, so this already gets more points than my Wacom because I wore down my Wacom nib so badly I had to use a safety pin to pull the nib out, and that was really bad. So it's nice that they've included a little tool, and my Wacom Pro had a tool in, but it's really tricky to use, and if you wait too long, you can't use that tool and you have to use the safety pin. So this is nice. It seems like I can give it a go now actually of replacing the nib just to see how easy it is. You put the nib in there. Aha, that is really clever actually. It's got the instructions here on how to install the driver and how to set up the display. The one thing I do need to figure out is how to deploy this stand, because there is a picture guide here, but I'm sort of struggling to figure it out a little bit. So I'll give it one more go. Oh, okay, I figured it out. Okay, so the reason I was a bit nervous about that is because it's new, so it's a bit tight. But if you can see here, there's this metal bit, and there's actually like a little hook here. And I got confused because I thought you were lifting up from where the metal is bonded with the plastic. And I thought that separated, but that's not what separates. There's like a little plastic lid. But you can use these. There's two, this is what they were saying about the 2 angles. There's like a tall one and a short one. And then there's 3 latches, so you can latch on the height that you want. You pull this bottom drawer out, and then you rest the tablet on top of that. Yeah, I would probably prefer a higher angle than that, so there we go. So yeah, that's really nice. So that's everything that came in the box, and I will lay it out now. So here is the tablet. There is the stand, and there is everything that has come with it. So here you can see where the tablet had to plug into the wall, and then if I pull my PC out for a second, you can see it goes into the HDMI and into the USB, and then up around here into the tablet. Okay, so when you're setting up the LED wheel, you press this bottom button and hold it down, and that changes the mode. And then once you do that, you can scroll it and pick the color you want. So when you're in the single color mode, you can do it this way, and you keep scrolling until you get the color you want. And I set it as my favorite color, just like a bluey purple. Then if you're still holding down that button, what you can then do is press it again, and it will change to an RGB switching mode. And I've sped this footage up because it does it very slowly, which I actually like because it's not super distracting. I'm gonna now show you guys how I set up the tablet. So firstly, I went to the link that was provided with the tablet to download the driver. I downloaded the driver for the Artisul D16PRO, and this tablet actually has instructions that you need to download the firmware first. And when I confirmed this, there was a README document which explained that you needed to read the number on your tablet, and if it began with 1 letter, you need to download specific firmware, but mine didn't begin with that letter, so I didn't need to download that. I get that that might be a little bit confusing for some people, but even though I didn't have to do it, I could tell that it was a pretty easy process to do, and if you just followed the instructions, I'm sure they would have been completely fine to do that. So anyway, after I did that, I just directly downloaded the driver. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through the setup of the Artisul through the driver. So the first thing you want to do is map your work area. So something I was a little bit confused at, and this won't be a problem if you have duplicate monitors on, aka you're seeing the same thing on your Artisul and on your computer screen. But if you have extend monitors on, what you want to make sure is that you're mapping on the display that you want to. So right now, this is mapping onto the Artisul tablet. As you can see, I'm screen recording my desktop screen, and what is showing up right here isn't the desktop screen. That is actually what is up on my Artisul screen. And what this means is that the pen will control the Artisul screen. Whereas if you set it up to the wrong display, the pen will control your computer screen when you're actually trying to control the tablet screen. The next thing you want to do is calibrate the monitor. I had to do this a few times because the pen wasn't always responding to my touch at the very beginning. And this was very easy to do, and it fixed any calibration problems I have. So whenever you have an issue with the pen not being where you want it to be, just go into the driver and calibrate and it will fix it straight away. On the pen itself, I then adjusted the pressure sensitivity because I'm a person that presses really hard on the pen, so I need it to be that way. I also set up some hotkeys on the pen. The next thing I set up were all my hotkeys, so I can show you what I set each one up as. So I've set this one to be Shift and this one to be Control. Then this one is Control J, which is how you duplicate a layer in my software. This one is Control E, which is how you merge layers. This one is Control S, so I can easily save. And then I've got Undo and Redo, Control Z and Y. This bottom hotkey you can't actually customize because that is used for color wheel. And that's the way that you change the colors on the color wheel. And if you hold it down, you can change the brightness. And the final thing that I would recommend doing in this is getting the colors to look similar or the same on your tablet as they do on your desktop monitor. And the way you do that is by pressing these 4 little buttons in the corner. And if you can see here, and when you're adjusting colors, I would recommend putting your screens on duplicate so you can directly compare colors. And what I did for this is I actually set my desktop background as a solid red, a solid green, and a solid blue. And then I moved around the lines until the colors matched. Here you can also change the brightness of your tablet and the contrast ratio. As you can see, I messed around with the contrast ratio, but I just left it in the middle because I found that the default setting for that was perfect. But I liked the brightness a little bit brighter. Okay, so now we're going to get onto the tablet review, and I'm going to split this into 3 sections. I can't think of great names for the section, but what I'm going with is like the physical tablet itself, like everything hardware-wise, and then the digital side of the tablet, so everything software-wise, the way the tablet works with the computer, and then everything that's specific for drawing. So while the software section will be about the tablet as a piece of technology, the drawing section will be about the tablet as a drawing tablet. I'll go into my pros and cons, and then at the end I'll give my overall consensus on the tablet. Something I want to specify is that I use firealpaca, I use a Windows computer, and it is a desktop as opposed to a laptop. So that will be all the things I've tested the tablet with. If I use the term cheap or cheaper at any point in this review, I mean that relatively. The tablet is around $400, which I acknowledge is not cheap at all. But in terms of other screen tablets, it's a relatively lower price, which is why, if I may use that term, that is what I mean, and I don't mean in any circumstance that $400 is not a lot of money. If you're interested in a more concise version of this review, I've put in the description and in the pinned comment what I wrote on Amazon for my review. However, I say a lot more in the video than I do in the review, so if you're still not sure about the product or you want to learn more, I recommend that you watch the video. And also, I really like the art I did, so you can watch the speed paint alongside it. And there'll be Minecraft music in the background, so that's a bonus. So in terms of what you physically receive with the tablet, one of the things I love about it is the size of the screen. It's super big. My previous tablet is a Wacom Intuos Pro, and the screen compared to that is just so much bigger. It's such a nicer, bigger space to work with. This is also the first screen tablet I've had, and I was worried about glare, but the tablet comes with anti-glare built in, which is incredibly effective. I haven't had glare on it once, but also it's not foggy or anything at all. So it's really effective anti-glare because you don't notice it, which to me is the most effective anti-anything. If it makes you not notice the problem, then it's doing its job. I really appreciate that they included the glove in the tablet for multiple reasons. Firstly, it's a really nice inclusion, especially for a more budget-end tablet, to have all these extra things like a glove. The glove itself is also very comfortable and well fitted to the shape of my hand. Something that's really nice is that the glove isn't necessary for you to use the tablet, which means it's completely up to you as the product consumer whether you use it or not, which makes it even more cool that they've included it. Something else that they included that I thought was really cool is this handy little mechanism for changing the pen nibs. And this is really useful and it works really well, and pen nibs is something I find quite difficult to change. But the fact it works so easily is just a big bonus for me. It also comes with a pen bag, which is nice. I'm used to having a pen holder, but it acts equally as good as a replacement. And again, for the price of the tablet, it's just a really nice inclusion. All these little things that come with the tablet are a huge upside for me and a great reason to buy this tablet. I also liked the instructions that came with the tablet. They were simple, but in depth. It wasn't that it brushed over anything per se, but it put it all in layman's terms, which is very useful when you're setting up technology. Anything I was confused about, the person who I emailed at Artisul actually came back to me very responsively. Something that he told me that I'd actually not noticed was I'd forgotten to download the user manual, which is online when you download the driver. And the user manual made everything even more clear. Any troubleshooting, any customization, all of that was in the user manual. I really, really love the LED color wheel as well. Again, I keep saying this, but for a tablet that is on the budget end of screen tablets, all the things it comes with that it doesn't necessarily need but improves the tablet experience as a whole are a huge upside for me. I like how with the LED thing, you can choose a very specific color, so you can put your favorite color on there, and that you can change the brightness. So if you want it bright and visible, but if it's distracting, you can lower the brightness. And in terms of distraction, there's also the RGB, which I really like how it moves super slowly through the cycle of colors, because that means it's also not a distracting flashing light in the corner of your eye when you work. It's just a nice little aesthetic addition. Something else I like about the pen actually is that the pen nibs don't wear out very fast either. At some point on my Wacom, and for context, I press very hard. I have to change my pressure sensitivity because of that. But on my Wacom, at one point, I was having to change my pen nib every 1 week, every 2 weeks, because it was wearing down so fast. Whereas I haven't had to replace a pen nib because of wear on this tablet yet, and I've been using it for just over a month. Okay, now to go in what I didn't like so much about the physical tablet. So I think the only part of the tablet that I actively would say I dislike rather than like is the pen itself. And I think that comes from the fact that I have a Wacom Intuos Pro, and even though that tablet is cheaper than this tablet, in terms of relativeness, it's one of the more expensive non-screen tablets, and because of that, it comes with a higher end pen. So because I'm switching from a tablet that comes with a higher end pen to a tablet that comes with a lower end pen, it does feel like a bit of a downgrade, which I understand is to be expected, because when you're comparing these two tablets, like a screen tablet and a non-screen tablet, it's like apples to oranges. But then comparing the two pens that come with them, unfortunately, you can compare like to like, so the differences between the two are a lot more clear to me. One issue I have with this pen is that the thicker nibs on them make smaller details harder, so I find I need to zoom in more to get fine details done than I would have had to on my Wacom. Something else that this pen lacks is an eraser on the back, which my Wacom pen has. You can set a hotkey to be your eraser, but if you do that, you need to set another hotkey to be your switch back to the brush, at least on my drawing software you do. And because there's limited amount of hotkeys, I didn't feel like it was worth using 2 of my hotkeys to have a button to switch between eraser and pen. The only other thing I dislike about the pen, and this is probably the thing that I find the most annoying about it and the tablet as a whole, is that the pen nibs fall out. I've had pen nibs fall out with pens in the past, but they fall out a lot more frequently with this pen than they do before. And I do think, again, this is a problem that I'm facing more than most people because of how hard I press, but it is quite an annoyance, and oftentimes when you're changing the pen nibs, you don't get a satisfying feel that the pen nib is secure in place like you do with another pen, and that makes me think, with that combined with how much they're falling out, that the pen nibs aren't very secure. There was a few more things I didn't love about the physical tablet itself. Plugging it in was slightly confusing due to all the cables you had to use. And this is a very small thing, but I think if the cables were all different colors, or if the instructions were a little bit more clearer, that would have been made easier for me. The cables also needed to be a bit longer in my opinion, as I was almost worried for a second I'd have to return the tablet because I wouldn't be able to plug it in. Because the tablet acts as a second monitor, essentially you need to use 1 HDMI port, 1 USB port, and 1 power socket, as well as connecting it to the tablet. So that's 4 different places that this cable has to reach. And because it isn't very long, if you have a setup that doesn't lend itself well to that, it's difficult to get the cables to reach. I had to rearrange a few things to fit specifically the USB and the HDMI. This tablet in general, due to the size of it, was a little bit awkward for my setup. For example, the tablet is so big and it plugs in on the right, yet my wall socket's on the left, so that was having to stretch that wire. As well as the fact that my desk isn't super long, so it's hard to find a way to fit my keyboard, my mouse, and my tablet, and my PC screen, and all the other stuff I have on my desk. But this is obviously a very minor grievance that's specific to my setup, but I would just suggest that when you're buying this tablet, you make sure you have a relatively big working space. Because of the issues with my working space, I actually had to put my keyboard sideways, whereas with my Wacom tablet, what I would just do is have the Wacom tablet in front of me and the keyboard behind it. But obviously, because I use the Artisul tablet stood up on its stand, I can't lean over an upright tablet to type. So something I do find not as easy with the Artisul tablet is if I need to quickly make a change with something. So let's say I was editing a project and I've put the Artisul away because I need to use my keyboard because there's not space for both directly in front of me. If I notice a coloring error, it's a bit of a hassle to get the Artisul set up, so what I find myself doing is just reaching for my Wacom, fixing the coloring error, and then going back to editing. Just because of how big the tablet is, it's difficult to have everything in front of you at once. And then the only other grievance I have with the tablet physically is I wish there were a few more hotkeys. There are 8 on the tablet excluding the scroll wheel and 2 on the pen, although I hold my pen slightly weirdly, so I find that I accidentally activate the pen hotkey, so I don't usually use them. But one of the hotkeys on the tablet is actually preset, which means you only have 7 hotkeys. This wouldn't be as much of an issue except for the fact that because of the way I have to set my tablet up, I don't have the keyboard conveniently close to me. So there's a few more hotkeys I would have liked to have set up so I wouldn't have to rely on the keyboard at all, but that is very, very minor. And the hotkeys are a great addition because of the fact that it's harder to have your keyboard and the tablet in front of you. It makes everything so much easier. In that case, I'm really glad they're there. I just wish there were a few more. Moving on to the software side of the tablet. So the things I really like about this is compared to the Wacom, the driver of this tablet is so intuitive and easy. I barely had to read the instructions. I only had a few questions that were answered very easily by the manual. The driver is significantly less glitchy than a Wacom driver though. If you've ever used Wacom, you know that their drivers are an absolute nightmare. And for the price you pay, that's really quite a surprise. I've never had a problem on this Artisul tablet to the same degree that I have a problem with the Wacom. The Wacom tablet driver sometimes will fully disconnect, I'll lose pen pressure, and it will sometimes take me up to an hour to fix the Wacom's issues. However, with the Artisul, I've never had it lose pressure, I've never had it do any of these things, and all of the Artisul's issues can be solved really quickly. Either you get used to it because it's just a little quirk of the tablet, or it's really easy to fix just by going into the driver because it's so intuitive. The only thing I've had is in one drawing session, I had some pen lag. And when that happened, I literally lifted up the pen for 5 seconds and put it back down, and it was fixed. Versus on my Wacom, when I have pen lag, I need to reboot my whole computer, sometimes multiple times. Something else I really liked about the Artisul is the circle pad and how it actually worked, versus my Wacoms, which came with a circle pad that did not work. Circle pad came preset with 3 things. There was a changing brush size, which worked perfectly. There was a scroll up and down function, which actually zoomed in and out in my software because my software doesn't have a scroll up and down function on the keyboard. And then it also came preset with a zoom in and zoom out function, but that didn't do anything because it was obviously programmed for a different software, and what they called scroll up and down in the preset actually zoomed in and out in firealpaca. But all I had to do was rename them and delete the one that wasn't applicable to my software, and it made the circle pad a really useful tool. And that's again something that it just means you don't have to use the mouse as much. Everything's all in the tablet. The other thing that was really good about the tablet software-wise was the colors. They were really nice looking colors and very easy to adjust, because when I use this tablet, what I actually realized is that my PC doesn't have full color range. Because as I was setting up the colors, I realized I couldn't get the reds to match. And for that reason, I really like the tablet's colors because it's obvious that they have the full color range. The colors are all really bright. And again, when I got the tablet, the colors were too warm compared to my computer. And I believe that's because my computer's colors are inaccurate rather than the tablet's. But I wanted to make it look as close to my computer as possible, obviously. And it was so easy to do. And that level of customization is a huge plus. All the things I didn't like about the tablet software-wise were really minor, because after dealing with a Wacom, you're used to all these things, but I should mention them anyway. When I first started using the tablet, I had to calibrate a few times. It was very easy to do, but it was something I had to do that probably took 5 minutes away from my life. The bottom of the tablet is occasionally unresponsive as well when you start the pen at the bottom of the tablet, if that makes sense. I think there's a bar of pixels right at the bottom that, due to the fact the tablet's probably slightly cheaper, they don't respond as well. But this was very easy to learn to adjust to, and I do it without even thinking now. Whenever you want to reach something right at the bottom of your screen, all you have to do is start the pen literally a millimeter higher and then drag down. And that's hard to explain, but if you have this tablet, you'll notice it. And then you'll get accustomed to it in 24 hours. It's really easy. I found that when you tilt the pen, the calibration went a bit weird. And again, this was something that I went into the calibration settings and it improved. And then within a couple of days, I didn't notice it anymore. So it obviously either solved itself or I just got used to drawing with it because it was a slight quirk. The only other issue with the software is that sometimes it takes the HDMI a little while to connect. And if this ever happens, what I do is I use the manual detection on my PC and it finds it instantly. But most of the time, connecting the tablet is very quick and pretty much just as quick as my Wacom, which is surprising considering how much more work it has to do because it's a screen rather than just a regular device. So now my opinions on the tablet specifically as a device for art. Some of the things I really like about it is how natural it feels to draw on. I was really worried about it because I've never used a screen tablet before. I mean, it took me a little while to adjust, but once I got it, it just clicked, and I just love drawing on it so much. It feels so nice to draw on compared to a flat tablet and looking at a computer screen, because it feels more like doing traditional art, because when you're drawing on paper, you would be looking at the paper. So it's that same sort of feel, and it's really nice. And due to the size of the screen, your hand doesn't get in the way, because I have drawn on my school tablet before, which has a touchscreen pen, albeit a very, very cheap rudimentary one. And my hand gets in the way because the screen is small and it's not really meant for doing art on as much as it is for writing notes on a PowerPoint presentation. But the Artisul is a lot nicer for that, and it just feels so natural to draw on. Something else I noticed is that I did not need to use the stabilizer as much as I did on my Wacom, so that obviously means the tablet was less shaky and had less jitter. I turned my stabilization down from 10 to a 6, and my line quality was exactly the same level of smoothness. This is going to sound like a weird compliment to say, but the pressure sensitivity was the same as my Wacom, and the reason that's a compliment rather than just a statement is because my Wacom is a higher end tablet, so having the pressure work exactly the same on a tablet that's the most expensive in its category and a tablet that's one of the cheaper ones in its category is a really big bonus for me. I just want to specify, just for clarity, that I did have to change the pressure sensitivity to +1, but I always have to do that because I press hard. I've listed many reasons why I like having the big screen, but one thing that I didn't even consider is that having a big screen really close to you as opposed to a desktop screen where I'm probably 1 to 2 feet away from it, is that you notice lots of smaller errors that you don't notice before, and I really think that's helped improve my art quality as a whole. One reason I would recommend buying a screen tablet, especially a screen tablet like this that's only $100 more than the most expensive non-screen tablet, is the benefits of a second monitor. Having a second monitor and using extend screen mode allows me to watch videos while drawing, which is something really nice because I feel like I often have to decide between, oh, I really want to watch this new Dream SMP stream, but I'm drawing and interesting things are happening, so I want to switch to the screen, and then it messes with my workflow, whereas now I can have Dream SMP up on my desktop monitor and the project that I'm working on in front of me, which is a really nice thing to have. The only cons with the tablet as a specific piece of drawing technology is posture-wise. Because of the height of my desk specifically, I have to lean more than I did with my regular tablet, and so I find that I'm not able to draw for quite as long without my back hurting, and by that I probably mean half an hour less. But again, that's a very minor thing that's specific to my setup. And then the only other thing that I think is a shame, and I think would be a great addition to this tablet, is on a computer, on at least my keyboard, which is mechanical, you can hold down a key, for example, Control-Z, and undo multiple steps at a time. Whereas with the hotkeys, you can't hold down the button and have it respond. So if I need to undo 10 steps, I have to press the button 10 times, rather than holding it down for 5 seconds like I would have to do on a keyboard. So my overall thoughts are, although there's a moderate learning curve with adjusting to a screen tablet, having a screen tablet is really awesome, and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to have one. If you're looking for a budget screen tablet, I'd honestly really recommend this one. It's so intuitive, it's super easy to set up, it's easy to troubleshoot, and you adjust to it really quickly. And you just get, for the price you pay, you get so much. I love all the little bonuses like the glove and the LED wheel. My main grievances are with the pen, as well as the physical ease of the setup due to the size of the tablet. This is really outweighed by the benefits it's brought to me as an artist and how cool all the features are, and this is a really big thing for me, how not glitchy it is compared to the more expensive Wacoms, which I think would almost make me buy this over the more expensive Wacom, because I don't think the Wacom is worth the $200 more you spend on it, because the driver is just as glitchy, and although the pen is probably nicer, that's the only thing that I really miss from my old Wacom. Everything else about this tablet is better. There's glitchy things about it, sure, but unless you're a perfectionist like me, you won't find these more than like a minor annoyance that you adjust to in a day. There's nothing actively disruptive like there is on a Wacom. I found that every single quirk that I mentioned in this review was something I either forgot about, honestly, until I looked back at this review because I adjusted to it, which probably means that my Wacom had the exact same quirks when I started on it, or very similar quirks at least, and I forgot them. Or they were things that were extremely easy fixes when you looked at the user manual, because there was a big troubleshooting guide and there's tons of customization. And I really appreciate that, because having a glitchy piece of technology when you're trying to work is the absolute worst. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts on the tablet. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you check out this product or any of their other products if this one's out of your budget. Thanks again to Artisul for giving me this opportunity. I'm so happy with this tablet, and I'm really happy to have made this video for you guys.